The Roman Empire is known for its military innovations, and one of the most fascinating was the development of the Cataphracts. These armored knights became the ancient tanks of war, playing a crucial role in Roman battles, especially in the East, where they faced some of the most powerful mounted forces of the ancient world. In this video, we will discover the history of these armored warriors, how they emerged, how they changed the course of battles, and what legacy they left in military history. The idea of armored knights did not originate in Rome but has its roots in the ancient East, in civilizations such as the Assyrians, Persians, and Macedonians. In their early days, these armies used light cavalry to ensure mobility and conduct quick attacks. However, over time, they began to discover the advantages of heavy cavalry. Knights in full armor could wreak havoc on enemy lines, and it was the Persians who developed one of the first fully armored cavalry forces, the Cataphracts. These warriors, both the horses and the riders, were covered with armor that provided formidable protection. Their shock tactics were devastating, and their ability to break enemy lines made them an unstoppable force on the battlefield. This tradition of heavy cavalry soon spread to other civilizations, including Alexander the Great's Macedonians, who adopted and perfected heavy cavalry units in their campaigns. Alexander's victories and those of his successors demonstrated the effectiveness of these elite units, inspiring Rome to adapt them to their own forces. When Rome began expanding its territory eastward, it encountered cultures and military forces very different from those it had previously faced. In particular, the Seleucids, one of the Hellenistic dynasties ruling in the region of Syria, were already using heavy cavalry units, which posed a challenge for the Roman legions. The first time Rome faced these armored cavalry units was in the battles of Thermopylae and Magnesia, during the 2nd century BC. Although the Romans witnessed the power of heavy cavalry, the more organized and versatile Roman forces managed to overcome the Seleucid Cataphracts. However, the Romans soon realized that to maintain their presence in the east and face such powerful forces, they needed to improve their own cavalry forces. The heavy cavalry tactics, with their ability to cause great damage on the battlefield, had now become essential to facing eastern enemies. The real challenge for Rome came with the confrontation against the Parthians, one of the most powerful empires in the east, who used heavy cavalry even more efficiently. The Parthians, experts in shock tactics, had cataphract units that were feared for their power and speed on the battlefield. In 53 BC, Rome suffered a humiliating defeat at the Battle of Carrhae, where the Roman legions, accustomed to fighting in an infantry-based combat style, were crushed by the force of the Parthian cataphracts. Using a combination of surprise, mobility, and the support of their mounted knights and archers, the Parthians surrounded and destroyed the Roman forces. This defeat left a deep mark on Rome, serving as a strong reminder that in order to continue their campaigns in the east, Rome would need to adapt to eastern tactics, especially when it came to heavy cavalry. After the defeat at Carrhae, the Roman Empire realized the need to adapt and improve its mounted forces to face eastern threats. Despite the effectiveness of the Roman legions on the battlefield, the lack of adequate heavy cavalry became a weakness that needed to be addressed. Rome began seeking allies in the eastern regions, such as the Sarmatians, famous for their mounted combat skills. Additionally, they began to train and equip their own cavalry troops, adapting the tactics and armament of the Parthian cataphracts and other eastern peoples. In this way, the Roman cataphracts emerged, initially less armored than their eastern counterparts, but over time, they began to incorporate heavier and more specialized armor. These units became a crucial part of the Roman army, playing a key role in battles and the expansion of the empire. Under the rule of Emperor Hadrian, the Roman Empire began to strengthen its heavy cavalry even further to face the powerful eastern empires, such as the Parthians and the Sassanids. It was during this reign that Rome took an important step by creating regular cataphract units, adapted to face the eastern powers. Although these early Roman cataphract units were not as advanced as those of their eastern rivals, they represented a significant shift in how Rome prepared for mounted warfare. The Romans understood that to defend their eastern borders and maintain dominance in the region, they needed heavy cavalry capable of matching their enemies. The cataphract units were stationed mainly in the Middle Eastern region, in key territories like Mesopotamia, where they could confront the Eastern empires threatening the Roman borders. Although initially the armor of the Roman Cataphracts was lighter compared to other cultures, over time it was improved, providing more comprehensive protection and allowing greater effectiveness in combat. Despite their great power and potential on the battlefield, Roman Cataphracts faced several challenges and limitations. One of the main problems was the production and maintenance of the heavy armor they wore, which was extremely costly and difficult to manufacture. These bronze or iron scale armors, chainmail, and other protective elements required considerable resources, creating an economic burden for the empire. Additionally, the weight of the armor caused mobility issues for the horses, which, although well protected, could not move as quickly as unarmored horses. This limited the Cataphracts' ability to perform quick maneuvers, which was crucial in certain types of combat. Another significant challenge for Roman Cataphracts was the high maintenance cost. Not only was the armor expensive, but the armored horses also required constant care. During times of war, the logistics of maintaining and repairing these units posed a significant challenge. Over time, Roman Cataphracts began to face additional challenges that led to their decline. As the Roman Empire was under constant internal pressure, such as barbarian invasions and disputes with Eastern empires, Cataphract units started becoming less effective on the changing battlefield. The high cost of armor and the need to maintain armored horses became a burden for the empire, which was already struggling to sustain its vast territory. Furthermore, new war tactics, which favored faster and lighter units, began to make heavy cavalry troops less effective in some situations. With new advancements in military tactics and the rise of lighter cavalry, Roman Cataphracts began to be gradually replaced by more adaptable forces. Although they were still used in some battles, especially on the eastern borders, their importance diminished. During the reigns of emperors like Diocletian and Constantine, Cataphract units remained useful, but their role gradually decreased as war tactics evolved. Eventually, they were replaced by faster and more flexible units suited for the challenges of the time. Although Roman Cataphracts were gradually replaced by lighter and faster cavalry units, their legacy endured. These armored warriors left a significant mark on military history, not only because of their power on the battlefield but also for how they influenced the development of heavy cavalry units in later periods. The concept of armored cavalry, adopted and perfected by Rome, left a lasting mark on medieval civilizations. Many of the heavy cavalry units that emerged during the Middle Ages, such as medieval knights, were inspired by Roman cataphracts and the tactics Rome developed to face Eastern enemies. The rigorous training, the importance of heavy armor, and the shock tactics that defined Roman cataphracts were key elements that laid the foundations for future generations of mounted soldiers. Although their era passed, the impact of the cataphracts on mounted warfare is still remembered in military history. If you were surprised by the story of the Roman cataphracts and their legacy in warfare, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. What do you think about the evolution of Roman cavalry? Leave us your comment below. See you in the next video.